Yo guys, what is up? It's Teach here, coming at you again with another video over on Ark Survival Ascended, and there is a really fun trick that's kind of been, if you want to think about it, introduced into the game, and this is how you can slot cap on metal on the island without anything difficult at all. You just need a single tame, and I've showed you guys how powerful this tame is before, but this thing is the best thing that you can do in order to get a crazy amount of metal on the island. And there's a little bit of a strategy that they've introduced because of all the stuff they added to the water. So if you don't mind, smash that like button, leave a comment below for the algorithm, and then consider subbing to the channel. I'm getting close to 100k, and that's what I've been going for all along. So the tame you want is the Dunkleosteus. The Dunkleosteus secret ability, if you want to think of it that way, because nobody ever used it, is it has the ability to harvest metal from rocks. Now, the benefit is they added a ridiculous number of rocks inside of the island map, right? And I'm just going to continue to mash as I go the entire way down the hill, and you've essentially got two options, right? You can either continue to harvest as you move around with the Dunkleosteus, or you can go into the deeper ocean, and the deeper ocean is going to have more overall metal rocks, like actual metal rocks that you can get. But you can harvest from any single rock that this guy hits. He's going to pull metal from, right? And that's pretty powerful, all things being considered, because you can, I mean, literally, again, as long as you have a scuba tank, you don't ever have to come up for air. You can just stay in the bottom of the ocean. Now, the reason that's pretty powerful is simply due to the fact that on PvP servers, especially where people are going to be looking at those metal spawns and they're trying to like jack your metal, as soon as you get up there, they're going to start shooting at you. They're going to try and pick you. They're going to do all kinds of stuff, right? You can avoid them simply by staying in the ocean and just hitting normal rocks, right? Now, you see some of this is on 1x, by the way, so there's no boost, there's no anything. This is just a normal Dunkleosteus. Dunkleosteus pretty much one-tap rocks as long as they have like above 200 melee, and they'll get you a stupid amount of metal. Like I have, what is this, 208 metal, and I haven't even been doing this for a minute. And then if you want to keep the stone, if you want to get a whole bunch of spark powder and stuff like that, the Dunkleosteus are one of the best gatherers in the entire game for stone. You don't realize that until you actually get on one of these things, and they kind of just do what you want them to. But as you can see, that's 108 stone and like 12 metal sometimes per rock. And so that's like the shallower rocks. If you get a little deeper, you're going to run into these oil rocks, right? So it gives you a little bit of an added bonus that you can add oil, which is something that's very difficult to get a hold of in this game. And then the last thing that I want to show you is once you get past the oil rocks, you end up into the coral zones, right? So there's some coral zones inside of the game where you can get access to some of the different coral nodes. And those coral nodes will also give you metal. Now, it depends on what you want to do with that. So, like, see how, like, you have to hit the ones that are not, like, the grass-looking stuff, because the grass-looking stuff is not going to give you anything at all. But as soon as you see those ones that look like that, right, like that have an actual structure to them, hitting those will get you access to metal as well as stone. So, and they will give you quite a bit of metal and stone. Now, the other benefit is those are also going to give you access to some oil. And that's something that's obviously useful in this game, like I've said before, because the oil has totally changed, and like the structure of oil has changed itself. So you can pretty much swing the entire way as you're going down, because there's a ton of metal rocks all over the place. But this is the best way, and then again, I forgot to mention this earlier, the Dunkleosteus has a reduced carry weight for metal, so it's half weight for metal. So having one of these guys is probably one of the best ways to get metal in the entire game, because metal is totally restructured. I don't know if you've hit a metal rock recently, but you only get like 50 to 100 metal per rock, and that is not enough to supply anybody with anything realistically. So one of the best things that you can do is kind of just go after these. Now, these guys are pretty good at attacking as well, by the way. You can see that with that high melee, I'm on GCM mode, so I'm not going to take damage, but their attack is quite high, so like they've got a very good base damage. They'll get that meat that you need them, and then they, I mean, if you run into a larger tame like a Mosasaur, you're gonna have a little bit of a problem because they can move pretty quickly. But outside of that, it's pretty easy to kill just about anything on one of these Dunkleosteus, and especially because it's like, I mean, you're seeing I'm still biting this one spot, and I'm still getting metal from it. So these things can get a ridiculous amount of metal. You know what, I'm not gonna deal with these guys right now. I'm just gonna destroy wild dinos. But yeah, so these things are really powerful. So especially, I mean, I just want to bring this up again. So like if you have an Anki, right, or anything that can harvest metal, just your character and stuff like that, there's only a few different metal spawns on the entire island map. There are not many. So you have to come up with new ways in order to try and get access to metal. And this is one of those super cheap and easy ways to do it, because you can just swing away, and the increased level, I mean, for I'd say this is like a 5-star level gatherer, basically, you're going to get more metal just by going into the ocean, right? So we've got, let's just pull that to the side, some of the important resources that we're getting, right? Let's say you want to keep the fish, let's say you want to keep the teeth, you can drop the rest. And we've already got almost 2 stacks of metal, and we've only done this for, I mean, I'm not even really trying very hard, and we've done it for like 4 or 5 minutes. So the next thing that I want to mention about this method is that when you're doing this method, it's only a solo method. You do not need someone to pick you up and drive you around. So reasonably speaking, if you have multiple donkeys, and normally you would have 2 people doing this, you could have 2 people out on a metal run getting double this amount of metal. So I cannot state enough how valuable the Dunkleosteus is because of the resources that you're able to gather with it, especially that stone, because that's, I mean, metal, stone, oil, all that stuff is super valuable early game for the donkeys. I want to say, I don't remember the exact location, but there is underwater crystal, and the Dunkleosteus can harvest underwater crystal. So that's also something to keep in mind. I have yet to find out where it is, but I've heard rumors on the mill that there is an area underground where you can actually access that crystal. But that's, again, that's all personal opinion, so you got to do what you will with that information. But as you can see, I'm not even trying very hard. Like, this is something you can literally just AFK to, basically, because it's so easy. And you can just stroll down to the bottom of the ocean. And then if you wanted to keep the stone, you could have a boat directly above you as like a person that runs it back and forth. Or if you're just solo, literally just create something in the ocean, especially once you get access to tech. Just create a moon pool, right? Hop up, take all the stuff from your donkey, cook it in the ocean, and then just continue to do circles. Because, again, rocks respawn faster than you can actually harvest them in the ocean. Whereas on land, it's not that way, right? Because you can see right now that I've got an insane amount of metal, an insane amount of rock, an insane amount of everything. And that's kind of just the point of the donkey. They're just powerful creatures, this especially this early when you don't have access to other maps where metal is not really a popular thing and not a very common thing to run into. You can easily just house yourself in something like this right here. If you haven't seen one of these caves, yes, this is one of the caves that I'm speaking about. You can see we have oil, crystal, all kinds of stuff in here. And it's one of your silica pearl caves, right? And you just have like something to cook the metal in here, and you're good to go, right? Because here's your note run. Boop. There's your explorer note. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't see a better way to go about it. To do metal runs, to do oil runs, any sort of run, really. The Dunkleosteus is probably the best overall generically early game, unless you have a mega tribe and you have access to all those other things that are pretty important, right? Like large quetzals with high carry weights and stuff like that. But just so you can see, we've been doing this video for about 7.5-ish minutes, and I haven't even been in the water the entire time. There's 1,200 metal right there without much effort at all. And you can do this for hours on end and come back with a ton of metal because the carry weight on the donkeys are fantastic. You got the oil, we've got more metal, and we can just drop all of that stone. So hopefully this is something that helps you out. And if you don't mind, again, smash that like button, leave a comment below for the algorithm, and consider subbing to the channel. All right, Teach out.